Family dinner that day. Zach ordered tomato scrambled eggs, a dish he never ate, and specifically asked for sugar to be added. On the way home from the dinner, a capybara keychain had suddenly appeared on the rearview mirror in Zach's car. Even Zach, who never wore perfume, now carried a faint, unfamiliar scent. Who else has been in your car? I fiddled with the keychain and glanced at Zach, who was focused on driving. What's this? The keychain jingled brightly. Zach reached over, took it from my hand, then pulled a piece of candy from his pocket and popped it into my mouth. The air's gone sour, have some candy. Sweeten your heart a little. Chapter 1. Orange-flavored candy. Zach hated oranges. He never ate candy either. I stared at the armrest compartment, stuffed with all kinds of hard and soft candies. Then I looked at Zach, now suddenly into bright colors, and a strange, unnameable feeling washed over me. It lasted all the way home, until Zach smiled and hung his keys on the hook. I saw the capybara hook and finally couldn't hold back. Zach, are you in love? His smile froze. I took the capybara off the hook. You never liked this kind of stuff, I said, eyes drifting to his brightly colored jacket. Especially not bright colors. I'd been with Zach for too long enough to catch even the tiniest change in his expression, and the silent provocation of an invaded territory was impossible to miss. Seeing how serious I was, Zach smiled instead. So you are jealous. He spoke lightly, leaning in to hug me. I even bet with Diana that my wife is way too emotionally stable for this, that these little tricks wouldn't even work on you. But Diana insisted any woman would care if someone else stepped into her space. Every woman wants exclusivity, no matter her personality or status. Zach's breath tickled my neck. Baby, it's been so long since you got jealous like this. And when you do, he kissed my neck. I like it so much. I felt his hands start to wander, but when he touched the capybara I'd been gripping, I smiled too. Which Diana? Do I know her? Zach froze. The explanation caught in his throat. I inhaled the unfamiliar perfume on him, something that didn't belong in this house. Zach looked helpless, then said while pulling out his phone, the new secretary. She's your junior. Actually, during her interview, she was clutching your thesis and talking about how much she admired you. Every time I see her, she reminds me of you. That night, I sat on the bed, watching Zach sleep. I thought of how he stopped himself when things started to go further. I remembered the softness in his eyes when he mentioned Diana. I knew I shouldn't, but I opened Zach and Diana's chat history. The messages were simple. Aside from work, it was mostly Zach asking Diana how to make me happy. Diana, like a treasure chest, kept feeding him her best tricks. Everything I had seen lately, from candy to perfume, were all her suggestions. My heart, which had been tight with suspicion, finally relaxed. I even started to feel guilty for doubting him, until a message popped up on Zach's TikTok. Operation, cover-up success? Praise me already. I'm amazing, right? Zach never used TikTok. I instinctively clicked the message, and saw a sticker sent by a girl with the same profile picture as Diana on WeChat. If it weren't for me, you'd be screwed. You'd be out on the street butt naked tonight. But don't worry, Diana will always welcome you with open arms. Chapter 2. My heart tightened. My fingertips trembled as I held the phone, watching Diana still typing. You promised me, remember? Don't act like a rotten cucumber who can't follow through. Hurry and send me a pic. What are you doing now? Why aren't you replying? The bombardment of messages made my mind explode. As I scrolled up, I saw more. We cleaned up everything on WeChat. She won't find a thing. I don't usually like secret relationships, but I gotta say, there's a certain thrill to them. As long as I keep pretending I have a boyfriend, she'll never suspect. Diana was coaching Zach, and Zach just smiled and replied, That's our clever Diana. Where else could I find such a sweet girl like you? I'm lucky to have you. By the end, my vision blurred with tears. They landed on the screen and on my heart. Zach held me in his arms like he had so many nights before, resting his head close to mine, his body curling around me as if clinging to his last sense of security, as if nothing had changed, as if none of this had happened. Just like he told Diana, as long as my wife doesn't find out, anything goes. I thought our love was unbreakable, Turns out, I was the only one who believed that. I picked the most formal outfit from the wardrobe and headed to a place I hadn't visited in a long time, Zach's company. When the employees greeted me as Mrs. Zhang, I went straight to his office, only to find it transformed into a princess wonderland. Capybara plushies and trinkets were scattered everywhere, the whole place dripping with the owner's girlish taste. As I toyed with a plushie, the door swung open behind me. A girl's bubbly voice rang out, "Zach!" Then abruptly stopped. I turned and met her eyes. Young, beautiful, skin so flawless it looked like porcelain. Her wide deer-like eyes trembled the moment she saw me. I looked her up and down carefully. Without saying a word, tears immediately welled up in her eyes. The moment Zach returned from his meeting, she burst into tears. "Madam, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't." She sobbed uncontrollably, as if I'd bullied her. "Don't look at me like that. Please, your eyes, they scare me. I haven't done anything wrong." She must have already guessed that it wasn't Zach who read her messages last night. She must have known why I was here, just waiting for Zach to pick a side. Zach rushed in and stood between us. When he saw Diana's tears, his eyes filled with concern before turning to me. "What's going on here?" 10 years. Zach had always been gentle and patient with me. This was the first time he'd ever questioned me with that tone. I froze for a second. As I stepped closer, the girl grabbed his arm and quickly pleaded, "Boss, please explain to Madam that there's nothing going on between us. I never seduced you," she cried, her face drenched in tears. "And I'd never try to steal you from her, I swear." "Boss," her voice broke. "I don't want to be wrongly accused." Chapter 3. The girl's sobs made her look heartbreakingly innocent. Zach immediately recalled the strange behavior I showed during the family dinner. He turned to me with disapproval in his eyes. "Emma, I've already told you, Diana and I are just colleagues." Her crying drew a crowd. People whispered among themselves. "Looks like the madam came here to pick on Diana." Well, they do say fame invites gossip. The boss probably just helped Diana out a bit because she's his wife's junior from college. And now she's being misunderstood. Married women are terrifying nowadays. They act like their husbands are their property. This is why I'm afraid of marriage. Imagine your future wife doing something like this. How embarrassing. Public opinion is brutal. Once, Zach cared about my reputation deeply. When people mocked me for being an orphan, he would defend me and shut them up. Now, we stood on opposite sides. And he only looked at me with helplessness. "Emma, can't you just learn to trust me? Diana is pure. You can't project your insecurities onto her. She's innocent." I looked at Diana peeking from behind him, smugly flashing me a triumphant smile. I really didn't know what was so innocent about her. If Diana was guilty, Zach was more guilty. It was her who dragged my name through the mud. It was him who misunderstood me. I walked up to Zach, and in front of everyone, I slapped Diana across the face. "That's what innocent looks like," as she screamed and clutched her cheek in shock. I turned to Zach and slapped him too. "Zach, I don't tolerate betrayal. We both know who's really guilty here." I turned to leave, but Zach grabbed my wrist and yelled, "What's the meaning of this?" I turned around and laughed bitterly. He was the one who did wrong, and yet he had the nerve to question me? I shook him off hard and pointed to his chest. "Ask yourself that question before you ask me." Then I looked at Diana. "That slap, you owed me." I walked out of the company. Later, I sat with my girlfriends, who were all furious on my behalf. That girl just entered the workforce and already acts like she owns it. Zach promised to love you forever? Just a lie. You were too naive. Gave your whole life to a man. I didn't respond, just stared at the anonymous text I just received. "So, you found out. Huh? You know about Zach and me, so why are you still clinging to him? It's just for his money and status, isn't it? Listen, Zach loves me, not you. You'd better back off while you still can." Before that, I had received a WeChat message from Zach. "Emma, what you did today was way out of line. You need to seriously reflect on your actions. To make it up to everyone, I'm treating the team to dinner. I won't be home tonight." Reading these messages from Zach and Diana, I couldn't help but laugh. I showed them to my friends, smiled, and asked, "Does anyone know a good divorce lawyer?" Chapter 4. I had thought about it. Maybe Zach had just taken a wrong turn. We had been together for so many years, long enough to know each other as intimately as we knew our own bodies and souls. I loved Zach, and I believed Zach loved me. So, after discovering Zach's betrayal, I chose to give him a chance, which, in truth, was giving myself a chance too. I wanted to mend our relationship, but I never imagined Zach would stand in front of someone else and defend her unconditionally. Diana asked to meet me and got straight to the point. What will it take for you to leave Zach? Zach doesn't love you anymore. Her face radiated the smugness of a victor. Do you know what he said to me about you? She pulled out a video. It was clearly taken in secret. In it, Diana asked Zach, "You've been with her 10 years. Do you really still feel anything?" Zach didn't hesitate. Of course not. So many times. Sex with her was just routine. You have no idea how painful it was to force myself to react when I touched Emma's body. It was like touching a dead thing. I had to suppress how awful it felt, after all. We'd been together for 10 years. Diana asked, "Then why are you still with her?" Zach hesitated. Responsibility, I guess. 10 years is a long time. Starting over with someone new? Too much effort. I didn't want that. A wife is just a title. My heart belongs to you. His eyes burned with desire as he looked at Diana. And so does my body. My body tells me it loves you. I stared at the screen, Zach and Diana entangled like wildfire. I listened to his words about me, even though I had mentally prepared myself. The pain still pierced straight through my chest. It coiled around me like vines, so tight I could barely breathe. Zach suffers every day being with you, Diana said. Can you please just let him go? Take it as a favor, I'm begging you. I looked at her young face, full of longing and reckless courage. She reminded me of myself 10 years ago, naive, but determined to fight for Zach at all costs. Now, that last taut string in my heart finally snapped. I looked at Diana, then tapped the screen of the phone lying face down on the table. The call interface lit up. It had been connected the whole time. I asked Zach, calmly, "So, is that how little I mean to you?" Diana's smile froze. Her eyes widened in shock, suppressing the chaos in my heart. I smiled at her. Since you two love each other so much that you can't bear to be apart, how could I not bless this love? Then I said into the phone, "The divorce papers are ready. Zach, all that's left is your signature. Don't tell me you can't handle your own game." Chapter 5. Even before Diana asked to meet me, I had already called Zach. Zach believed his girl was innocent and sweet. Even the way he spoke in chats leaned toward my side. He refused to believe Diana was ambitious, refused to believe she was two-faced. Just like back then, when everyone mocked me, he was always the one standing by me, always the one who believed in me. Zach was silent for a long time, so long that I was about to hang up and leave, when I finally heard his urgent voice call out my name. "Emma, don't leave. Let's meet and talk. I have no interest in seeing you," I said plainly. After all, I glanced at Diana. "It feels dirty." I stood up and paid for my coffee. Then, turning to Diana, "Since you're so proud of your skills at keeping a man, go ahead and enjoy your second-hand goods. I won't be playing with you anymore." Under Diana's stunned expression, I picked up my coffee cup and splashed it all over her. Diana was soaked, her smugness washed clean. She grabbed my arm furiously. "Emma, you played dirty." I looked at her baby face, now twisted with scheming malice, and kindly reminded her, "If you want to play dirty with me, you're out of your league. This," I dragged out the word, "is what they call shooting yourself in the foot." I shook off her hand and turned to leave, just as Zach rushed into the cafe. He caught my eye, clearly wanting to explain. But I coldly warned him, "Out of my way." At that moment, Diana clung to him and started whining. "Zach!" She splashed me. Diana pointed at her soaked clothes and reminded him, "You promised, if the truth ever came out, you'd still stand by me. If she dares to throw coffee at me today, she'll dare to hit me tomorrow." I watched Zach's expression shift and sneered. Then I turned and slapped Diana across the face. "Well, since you wanted it so badly, there you go." Zach's face twisted with struggle. "In the end," he said to me, "she's innocent." This is all my fault. Let's go home and talk, okay? I had no desire to argue anymore. I simply said, the divorce papers are drafted. If you don't agree, talk to my lawyer. Go home? That made me laugh, genuinely laugh. Zach, the moment you chose to betray our relationship, we stopped being a family. 10 years ago, a broke Zach proposed to me with a soda can ring. He told me, Emma, I have nothing right now, but that doesn't mean I'll always have nothing. Believe in me, I'll give you a good life. Back then, Zach's eyes burned with youthful fire and passion. His love ignited me. And like a moth to flame, I plunged in without hesitation. Zach, I believe in you. 10 years passed in a blink. Now, hearing him talk about me, and all that remained was responsibility? How could I not be devastated? The boy I once loved so fiercely, we had walked through our youth together, watched each other grow, shed our immaturity, and become more stable, more mature, only to drift further and further apart. 18-year-old Zach swore he'd love me forever. 28-year-old Zach said I was just an obligation. And now, what kind of show is he trying to put on? I looked at Zach's pained face, while Diana sobbed beside him demanding answers. Zach simply said to me, Emma, you can't live without me. So that's how it is. In Zach's eyes, I had always been the one who depended on him to survive. I stared at him, surprisingly calm, even to myself. Whether I can live without you is not for you to decide. Zach, who you are, what kind of life you live, has never depended on you. I chose you, and that's what made you special. If I hadn't, you'd just be an ordinary man. When I left the cafe, I heard Zach softly coaxing Diana to calm down, and Diana shouting behind me, Emma, you've already lost. Chapter 6. I no longer cared about winning or losing. When my friend came with me to pack up my things, she spotted a capybara plush by the entrance. She picked it up and mocked. Since when did Zach like this kind of stuff? I was packing my belongings. Looking up and seeing the capybara, I found it all just ironic. That's Diana's favorite. My friend instantly looked disgusted, threw it away, and cursed. Scumbag and slut, who were they trying to disgust? I opened the safe in the bedroom, where I had stored a pocket watch left by my father. The only thing my parents had passed down to me. I wanted to take it with me, but the photo inside the watch was missing. My breath caught. I turned the whole safe upside down, still nothing. My fingers trembled uncontrollably as I pulled up the surveillance footage I had installed before my business trip. And there it was, Diana, after turning the house into a childish amusement park, ransacking my bedroom, finally hugging the safe and asking Zach, what's in here? Zach, working in his study, gently pulled her onto his lap. Just some unimportant stuff. Diana clung to him, coaxing Zach to open it. She took the pocket watch, giggling, I just want to take a peek. I watched her walk off with the watch, hide in the bathroom, and tear the photo into pieces, before flushing it away. Then she returned to Zach, feigning innocence. Oops, I accidentally broke it. Zach didn't scold her, he just said, be more careful next time, and the footage ended. I was shaking with fury. Yes, I knew Zach had betrayed me. Yes, I had already made up my mind to let go. Yes, I had accepted that the man I gambled everything for didn't love me anymore, but I still couldn't accept this calmly. I rushed to the company. Zach was working when I barged into his office. His eyes lit up, thinking I had come to make peace. He struck a superior pose. So, you've thought it through? I knew you would. Before he could finish, I had grabbed the computer on his desk and smashed it onto his head. It hit the floor with a loud crash. Zach finally realized something was off. Are you crazy? I had no time for his questions. Diana came running in, throwing herself in front of Zach to shield him. How dare you hit him? Emma, apologize to Zach right now or I swear I won't let this go. Zach's eyes flickered with emotion, but before he could speak again, I had already picked up the ashtray from the table and hurled it at Diana. She screamed. I grabbed her and slammed her to the ground. Zach tried to intervene, but my friends had arrived just in time and pinned him back. They looked at him with utter contempt. You're worse than an animal. I slapped Diana across the face. You think you can touch my parents' keepsakes? Zach froze. My friend landed a punch on his face. If you never loved Emma, why didn't you end it properly? I hit Diana again. I tolerated your provocation because you liked Zach. Fine. Take him. But the one thing you shouldn't have touched was that. Diana screamed and cursed at me. But I couldn't hear it anymore. All I could feel was the hate in my bones. Finally being released. All around me were insults. Diana's shrieks. And my friend shouting, Emma only had that one thing from her parents, and you had to destroy it? Are you even human? Chapter 7. In the end, we all ended up at the police station. Diana pointed at me and shouted, I want to press charges. Officer. She assaulted me. This is physical injury. Her face was swollen like a pig's head. Sitting there yelling curses at me, she broke into my boyfriend's office and attacked both of us. I want her behind bars. Zach remained silent the entire time. His gaze locked firmly on me. I couldn't help but find Diana's rants ridiculous. Before I could speak, my friend laid everything out for the officers and slammed a marriage certificate onto the desk. Since when can a mistress stand tall and call someone else's husband her boyfriend? The officer, after hearing the whole story, looked at Diana with visible disgust. Quiet, he told her, then turned to me. Regardless of the situation, you did resort to violence. That part's a fact. If she wants to press charges and has enough evidence, it could leave a mark on your record. Finally, he turned to Zach. I suggest you resolve this privately. Zach, who had been silent all this time, finally lifted his head, looking around the chaotic room. Then at Diana sitting across from me. Will you sign the reconciliation agreement? His voice was flat, devoid of any emotion. If you sign it, I'll agree to the divorce. I sneered at his so-called rescue gesture. My friend spoke for me again, acting like a martyr now? Where was this energy before? When you were all over another woman, you didn't seem so noble. Don't act like some tragic lover now, it's disgusting. Zach's face turned pale from the scolding. At last, he looked at me. Believe it or not, I never wanted to hurt you. He pulled out the unsigned divorce agreement we'd fought over for over a month. If you sign, and let Emma drop the charges, I'll sign and agree to the divorce. And so, after weeks of deadlock, Zach finally signed the papers. Diana waved the divorce agreement in my face like a trophy. Told you I'd win. Emma, from now on, Zach is mine and mine alone. I looked at her smug grin, then at Zach's hollow expression, and left them a parting gift. I hope you're chained together forever. I walked out of the station with my friend, took everything that belonged to me, quickly finalized the asset division between Zach and me, and threw myself into a brand new life. I picked a small town I liked, bought a building, renovated it into a guest house. My friend and I went in as partners. That period passed peacefully. I hadn't thought about Zach in a long time. No one mentioned him anymore. On the day the guest house officially opened, my friend invited a bunch of influencers to promote it, along with a few well-known reviewers to test the stay. We were buzzing with work when someone suddenly tapped me on the shoulder. Emma? I turned around and saw a young woman's shy but excited face. I was a few years behind you in school. Chapter 8. The girl sat in the courtyard as I brought her a cup of coffee. I heard about your story back then and admired you so much. She said, I read so many of your papers. You were my idol, to follow in your footsteps. I started working in digital media. I'm now a bit well-known too. But then, her tone suddenly shifted. But the materials I compiled about you were stolen by one of my classmates. I was furious when I confronted her. She even bragged to me, saying that thanks to her, my idol became single. People are still talking about your relationship with the senior. She added softly, and I owe you an apology. That moment pulled me straight back to the day Zach smiled at me and said, she really admires you. She's your little fangirl. She brought your papers with her to the interview, really made an effort. That's why I hired her. It was a special exception. Since she likes my wife, she can't have bad taste. Zach had smiled so tenderly back then, as if he genuinely felt proud someone idolized me. Now I looked at the junior girl holding up Diana's social media updates, scoffing. Stolen things never last. Thieves always get what they deserve. Diana's once vibrant feed had now turned into a cesspool of negativity. Each post was lifeless and bitter. Someone asked her what was going on. She just replied, "Some people may be gone, but that won't stop them from making my life hell." Utterly disgusting. I didn't know if some people meant me, until my friend suddenly popped in. "Emma, there's a lion dance outside. Did you hire them?" My heart skipped a beat. I hadn't invited any lion dancers or influencers. I thought it was all my friends doing, but as I rushed to the entrance, I saw Zach standing there, among the crowd. He had shed the flashy dual-colored suits he used to love, returning to simple, minimalist clothing. Even his cologne had disappeared, replaced by the fresh scent of body wash. He walked toward me, smiling softly, exactly like 10 years ago, when we first got together. "Congratulations," he said. "You always wanted to run a guest house. You gave up that dream for me, but now, you've finally made it happen." I thought I would never see Zach again. I had imagined what it might be like if we did meet again, but I never imagined that when I finally saw him, my heart would be so calm, like facing a stranger. I invited him into the courtyard. As we sat, he looked around, his eyes drinking in the design and detail of the guest house, finally resting back on me with admiration. "You always had an eye for design. It's clear you put your whole heart into this." The girl next to me couldn't hold back a snort. Even so, some people clearly had no taste. "Oh, right." She didn't hesitate to expose Diana. "The portfolio Diana used in that interview? She stole it from me. She never really admired you. I'm the one who did. If she really idolized you, she wouldn't have stolen your boyfriend." True fans want their idols to be happy. She lifted her chin proudly. "Like me." Zach's face went pale instantly. He turned to me, shocked. I only nodded calmly. "That special exception you talked about was just one of her tricks. But I do thank her," I added. "If not for her, I wouldn't have this freedom today, and I really love the life I have now." Chapter 9. Outside, the lion dancers were still putting on a lively show. My friend didn't care for Zach, but since he was technically a guest, she didn't say much. Zach ended up staying at the guest house for half a month, lingering around every day, always trying to bring up the past. He talked about our high school days, then about college. "I've been thinking a lot lately," he said. "When I look back, it all feels like a dream, a beautiful dream, that I shattered with my own hands." "Emma," he asked insistently, "if I'd realized my mistake, if we could do it all over again, and I turned down the temptation, could we have stayed the same?" I looked at his face, the face I had loved for 10 years, and thought of that moment I first learned he had betrayed me. Back then, I asked myself again and again, was it because I wasn't good enough? Did I do something wrong? Was it just normal for men to stray? Should I have reflected on my shortcomings? Should I have forgiven him for making a common male mistake? Should we have patched things up, kept up appearances, and continued being the perfect couple everyone else saw? Because to the outside world, we had it all. Cutting Zach out of my life felt like tearing a chunk of flesh from my heart. There were moments I almost gave up because it hurt so much. But now, looking at Zach, I could finally say it with peace. "No, Zach," I told him, "there's no such thing as what if in life. Everyone has to live with the consequences of their choices." I thought I'd made myself clear, but Zach's eyes turned red. He grabbed my wrist and asked again, clinging to the last shred of hope, "Emma, are you really saying there's no chance for us? I don't believe you can just forget all these years." I looked at Zach and saw a version of myself during the worst days, torn up inside. So I gave him some advice. "Let it go." Just then, a sharp voice rang from the door. "Zach! So you did come to see her?" Diana charged in, furious. She raised her hand, aiming to slap me. I stepped back. Smack! Her hand landed squarely on Zach's face. Stunned, Diana stared at her own hand, then at Zach. She turned to me, shouting, "You bitch! You already chose divorce. Why won't you just let Zach go? You're already divorced. And yet you're still seducing him. When will you stop? People were now gathering in the courtyard. Zach tried to calm her. Enough. Stop making a scene. But Diana wouldn't back down. So that's it. Huh? Regretting it already? Right after the divorce? You're disgusting. She raised her hand again, still going after someone else's husband. You whore. But before she could slap me, whack! My junior suddenly burst in and slapped Diana across the face. Who are you calling a whore? You stole my documents to get in through the back door. And now you're trying to steal my idol's man? My idol might be gracious enough to ignore your crap, but I'm not. Slap. She smacked Diana again. You stole my thesis, that's a fact. And when you went after someone else's husband, did you bother to mention that your college diploma was fake? Chapter 10. Diana's face turned completely pale. She looked at the junior who had just exposed her. Then at the courtyard now crowded with onlookers. And all around, people pointing at her and whispering, I thought it was the wife catching the mistress. Turns out the homewrecker chased the real wife away. And now the cheating jerk regrets it. This lady's been so kind since I got here. Someone else said to me, Miss, I fully support you. That damn side chick still dares to scream here? Aren't you ashamed of yourself? The voices that had once stood by Diana now turned into sharp boomerangs, all hitting her in the face. Get lost already. Stop embarrassing yourself here. Even Zach wasn't spared. I saw that sleazeball flirting with the owner for ages. I even thought something good was coming. Damn, I was blind. Cheating isn't once and done. It's once and countless times. How dare you ask her to forgive you? Exactly. You're not disgusted, I am. Zach shrank from the verbal attacks. Ashamed. Diana, however, flushed red and tried to argue. Love doesn't care about who came first. There's no such thing as mistress in love. The one who isn't loved is the real third wheel. She pointed at me. Zach loves me. So I'm not the mistress, she is. She is not. Zach, who had always defended Diana, suddenly seemed like his teenage self again. I don't love you, he said coldly, slapping her with the truth. I was just chasing novelty. If I truly loved you, I wouldn't have kept you hidden in the shadows like some secret rat. When I love someone, I want to give her the best. He turned toward me. Hurting Emma is the biggest regret of my life. Every time I return to the home we once shared, even the air smells like her, and I hate myself for not cherishing her properly. She's not just someone I owe. She's the love of my life. I stared at Zach. And for a brief moment, his face overlapped with the Zach from when we were 18. That day, at our high school graduation, Zach, the top scorer in the province, stood on stage, holding a microphone. There's only one person I want to thank, Emma. His eyes were so bright. They lit up my entire world. Emma, congratulations on our graduation. You promised, if we got into the same university, we'd change our relationship status. So, will you keep that promise now? That summer, the whole school cheered. Even the teachers blessed our love. Everyone urged me to walk toward him. I saw the fire in his eyes. I saw the boy slowly become a man. Now, at 28, he stood before me again, but I only told him, I don't eat reheated leftovers. My friend cut in mercilessly. Could the drama king and queen stop interrupting our business? Get out already. Zach and Diana were finally kicked out. Since then, I haven't heard from either of them. I don't know if they stayed together in the end, but I did just fine on my own. Thanks to my junior branding me as a powerful leading lady, I became a lifestyle influencer with millions of followers. Our guest house business? A booming success. Bookings poured in daily. One afternoon, my friend and I sat in the courtyard sipping tea. She glanced at our recent revenue and grinned. Partnering with you was the best decision of my life. I looked at her and smiled back. No, thank you, for always believing in me.